This is Ready, Set, Reiki, a podcast about Reiki and all energy work, from the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher, welcoming all systems, all lineages, and all levels. Reiki is a journey and not a destination. And on this Ready, Set, Reiki journey, I refer to myself as a guide. So I'm Tracy C. Wright, and this is Ready, Set, Reiki. Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome. It's Ready, Set, Reiki Live. Wonderful here. Now, get ready, buckle up. What an amazing guest that I have today. LRMT, ICRT, mentor teacher, visionary behind the Wisconsin Reiki Center, Healing Arts and Wellness. Her name is Kathy, and she focuses on Reiki trainings and wellness retreats. Her skill spans various energy healing modalities. She is also a teacher and practitioner. She conducts in-person workshops across several states, and she also extends her teaching globally through online platforms. She is Serene Carriage House in the Wisconsin Retreat Center, Reiki Center in Deerfield, Wisconsin, and she is committed to sharing knowledge, and she also fosters continuous personal growth. Kathy is a certified Reiki practitioner in multiple lineages, a Reiki master teacher, and an animal communicator. She holds this prestigious title of licensed master mentor teacher, LRMT, with the International Center of Reiki Training. Her skills extend beyond Reiki to include holographic sound, heart intelligence, and wellness retreats. She is skilled in crystal, grid work, and various psychic and intuitive abilities. These abilities include being a psychic medium, Akashic records reader, and works diligently with her heart light. Residing in Wisconsin with her husband, sons, cherished feline companions, she warmly welcomes students and clients alike, and she empowers them through educational, personal growth, and transformation power of Reiki. Welcome, Kathy, to Ready, Set, Reiki.
Thank you so very much, Tracy. It's great to be here.
Wonderful. I cannot tell you listeners, her and I have tried to connect, but the stars have aligned, the planets, all good things. And here we are finally coming together. So let's begin this journey together. Ready to rock and roll, or ready, Reiki? Here we go.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
So we gave our listeners just a little taste of who you are. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I'm right now, I live in Deerfield, Wisconsin, in a wellness center that's only about 16 steps from my house. And I'll explain that little story in a little bit. I have 3 sons, ages from 35 to 15. And 2 grandkids. So, and you know about my cats, and I do have a loving husband too. He's very patient. A little interesting note about my husband is that he is a scientist. So we have kind of different spectrums here in our family, and it's very harmonious. It's harmony, Yeah, he's also a Reiki practitioner too.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
So we've gathered here today to discover Reiki. So when did Reiki come into your life? Did you find Reiki, or did it find you?
Okay, so it kind of found me. I've always been, so just to back up a little bit, since a child, we're all healers. We're all manifestors. We're all creators. We're all psychics, right? We're all emotional beings. And sometimes we lose that, right? It gets a little like a dusting over us. So we're not in tune to all those beautiful special gifts that we have through our senses to tell us, navigate us through life. As a child, I kind of never lost that. And I'll explain why. So as a child, I've always had a really deep trust within myself to navigate through life. Why? Is because I had to listen to nature. I had to listen to the plants and the animals and humans too, and everything around me, because I have some disabilities that kind of would shun me into the world, and I wouldn't be able to be productive. One of those, I'm dyslexic. I have a reading, and the main one is I have a reading comprehension disability. That means, I'll tell this to people, and people are like, oh, you got to read this book. I'm like, you don't get it then. The written word, I comprehend some of it, but not all of it. I never know what I comprehend and what I don't.
Mhm.
Now, through Reiki and other things has helped me through that process. But through growing up, I never worked on the written word.
Mm.
So in school, they kind of like said you didn't have to do that, as long as I was able to work with the teacher or anything like that to get the information going and do the tests and whatever. So I never really read any books or anything like that. So everything I learned prior to Reiki, when I turned 42, I kind of learned on my own. Like
Mm.
the animals taught me, or environment taught me, or even the plants, the bugs. I see patterns. I see energetic patterns. So that kind of never left me as a child because of that, I think. And so through my high school time, I became a pretty good psychic, and I made a lot of friends. Even being in learning disability classes, people really liked me because I gave them a good day. I gave them a little psychic reading, and it usually happened. And it was usually a positive way of me putting it out there, presenting it. So I went through college. I learned in college, I learned through osmosis. A professor says, you're in organic chemistry and you're getting a B, and you have this disability I see in the paperwork. And I'm like, right, I do. And he goes, but you sit in the front row and I feel you absorbing everything I say. He goes, do you know what that's called? And I was like, no, but I get what you're saying, because if I don't come to class, I'm going to fail. So I learned through my own without knowing the words, right?
Right.
Technical meanings of how I started learning. And so after I got that information, that was the most important thing in college I learned, is that I was able to absorb my information.
Mhm.
And so throughout life, I just kind of worked with that and flowed with society and things like that. And in my 30s, I got unhealthy. I started having problems, and we were talking just a little bit about migraines. I started getting migraines and all these different kind of ailments, and I didn't know what was going on. I was getting out of tuned to my senses and my surroundings and things like that, environment. I was getting sick, and I met this lady that was a nurse. I told you a little bit. My husband's a scientist. So I kind of believe in the system a little bit, but I also understand there's an energetic system completely, because I see that. I see the pattern. And so this lady was a nurse, and I didn't even know about the International Center Reiki training, because I didn't ever read a Reiki book. I didn't even know what Reiki was. It just,
Right.
you know, it wasn't out there in the world like it is now. And so I went to her little shindig that she had, a little free little welcome thing for her new center. And I went there, and I laid on the table, and she touched me, and she goes, whoa, what do you do for a living? And I said, oh, I am an antique dealer. I was in Seattle, Washington at the time. And I was like, I'm an antique dealer. And she goes, wow, aren't you a little sensitive for that? And I was like, no, it's one of my abilities. I do a little wish and they go into the light and they don't get attached to anything. And I was thinking, okay, whatever. And she's like, okay. And in that point in time, I told you I wasn't really doing well. So I was
Mhm.
agoraphobic, so I didn't leave the house. I had a panic attack thing going on with me through about 20 years of it, that I didn't really work in society so well. And I had a lot of issues going on, and I didn't talk. I couldn't express myself
Mhm. Yeah.
at all, after years and years. And so through that, this lady touches my throat chakra with Reiki. And I'm laying there, and I felt really good with the rest of it, but I felt pain. But I didn't feel her fingertips. So I think she was hoovering over my throat chakra. And I tell you, Tracy, I felt this pain, and I was like, whoa, what's going on with this Reiki? What's this Reiki? And I
Yeah.
felt it was a bubble coming out. And all of a sudden, right when I was ready to tell her, no more, it burst. And she goes, I'm done. I was like, whoa, what's just going on? And my jaw felt relaxed.
Wow.
I have TMJ. And after that day, I started being able to talk to people, expressing myself the way I want to express myself. And
Right.
that was the aha moment. I was like, what is this Reiki stuff? Still didn't go get the book. But 2 weeks later, she asked me if I would learn Reiki and take a class. And I was like, of course, let's try that. But I was an antique dealer, and I did estate sales. So I have about 15 employees. I would have 4 or 5 sales a week. And all of a sudden, all the sales, for some reason, wham, My partner calls me up and says, "There's no sales this week.
Hmm.
Something happened." I was like, "Okay." So I take Reiki. And so when I took Reiki, it completely changed my life.
Wow.
It just started full fast. I went on a very fast pace. And when I first got connected to Reiki, it was Tibetan Reiki from the International Center Reiki training before Holy Fire. And we would have to do an attunement process.
Mhm.
And I'll never forget, again, painful. I had carpal tunnel syndrome really bad. It healed it, completely healed it. But we would go into Gasso, and then they would do this, I call it a cosmic dance. And through that process, it kind of like dusted my third eye off. And all of a sudden, I started seeing flashes. I started seeing flashes of my house in Wisconsin. Said, "You're going to teach Reiki in Wisconsin." I was like, "Oh, no, I'm not. I live in Seattle, Washington, and I'm here getting connected to Reiki. So leave me alone." you know? And then it shot another picture and showed my house inside. I have like a Victorian house. And in Seattle, it's not older there. So there's no Victorian home. So I thought it was a dollhouse that I have.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a dollhouse. And they showed me aqua walls, all these different color walls. And then they showed me the wellness center right beside it and showed me all these colors. And I'm thinking, I'm losing my marbles. And I went on and I learned Reiki. The next, I show my husband, "Honey, can I touch you? I want to show you Reiki." And he was like, "Wow, I feel that. That's really hot." And time went through, and I went to do my master's. Again, the flash came up and says, "You're going to teach Reiki and you're going to move to Wisconsin." And I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not." At this, I tell my husband that again. He's like, "Don't worry. We got it good here. No worries. We've been here for 10 years."
Yeah.
2 days later, he comes home and says, "Kathy, we have to talk." And I said, "What?" He goes, "My whole company went under and I have to go get another job somewhere else." I'm thinking, oh boy, okay. Fast forward, in a year and 1 day, we moved to Wisconsin. I had to talk about Reiki to the little village that I live in to get it approved. Took 3 hours, like through the thing. It was pretty intense, I got to tell you. Had to explain Reiki. That's the hardest thing for a practitioner to do,
Right.
Through that time, I started developing a trust with Reiki connection with me. A lot of different things happened, and it wasn't easy, a little tight and not kind of a little constrictive. And I gave myself Reiki, and I started working with my trust with Reiki, with my intuition. And I started just going, "Okay, I'm going to do this." And it was a little tough for me, but it started feeling better and better and better. In a year and 1 day, I was moved to Wisconsin, to the house that I told my husband the colors and everything, to the carriage house where it is in Wisconsin, Reiki right there. And it was only so many steps away from the house. And I started teaching Reiki, was my first class. And it showed me the trust and the development that I came back to my original self, my authentic self. And so after that, every month after that, it's been, that was in 2013. So 2014 is when I taught Reiki for the first time. And since then, I've been teaching every month, maybe twice a month or once a month or whatever that is. And I started teaching it. And I've learned that the most important thing about teaching Reiki is that you're a teacher and you're a student. And I say that too. You learn something from everybody. And that's how I am too as a student. Heard that from you. I was like, "Oh yeah, we agree on that one." Teacher, student. And it works right back to you. Reiki is an intelligent source. It will help you. It bridges to you who you are, what you are, your best vibration, and it helps you get that knowledge. And so I was very open to it, with the trust within myself, because I realized that I was building that trusting bridge to myself, who I really am, my vibration that really wants to speak. Yes. And that is prior, I did not know Reiki was going to do that. But I would say that would be the number one thing that, as even a teacher or as a student or anything for me personally, Reiki has helped me open that up and been okay with that. And learning to give myself grace through the times that I might not be okay with it, or a little bit too stressed out, or something's going on, So I've learned that through that process of those times. Maybe it got a little tough in that whole year to move and sell things and do this and move to a hunting village. with Reiki that doesn't even have a grocery store. We have
Yeah.
under 2,000 people, and they're okay with the Reiki stuff, And it's just, it's wonderful how Reiki allows brightens you up, so you're going with your flow for what you really need to do with Reiki. And you don't have to be a Reiki teacher, you
Yeah.
just be with Reiki, and you could do anything you want.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What an inspiring story. And you went all the way through. And those that are maybe hearing this for the first time, there's the International Center of Reiki, right? That has a
Mhm.
wonderful program.
Yeah.
And there's not too many of you in that group there. So it is the LRMT. So you can get a licensed master, teacher with that. And
Yeah.
so what inspired you to take that next step?
Reiki. So I was a Tibetan Reiki master, and here I'm in Wisconsin, and William does have a home in Michigan and a Hawaii. Well, I'm not going to travel Hawaii at that time, but Michigan. I was like, I could do that maybe. I never traveled by myself. I had this panic disorder. I was like, but I feel like I need to do it, so I did it. I drove all the way there, and drove all the way back, and I loved it. And I met William, and I decided that I was going to want to be a professional member first. And so I wanted to see, here I've been teaching Reiki for a year, really love it, really changed my life. One, I sat with when Holy Fire came out for about a half a year to see if I wanted to go to that way. And so I signed up for class. And so I signed up for class, and it started changing right away. I mean, the frequency was very different, really impactful. Holy Fire, and I was like, whoa, what's this stuff? You know what I mean? So I decided that, okay, this guy got something going on here. I mean, he is definitely, something's going on with William that he makes me cry all the time. It's great. I love it. And it's a, emotional release kind of thing. And I was like, what's his licensed teacher program? And the licensed teacher program, what I love about it so much is that you got other people that love to teach Reiki.
Right.
Now, they might have another side job somewhere, okay, or something like that, whatever that is, but they love to teach Reiki. So when all these things happened, like COVID came, we were right on the money getting the slideshows ready to get things to still teach Reiki online. Not some people, we all stood up and said, hey, you could use my slideshow. Hey, you could use this, you could use that. And some people that were not really online, the older population, it's a little harder for me to do all this stuff, but I could create different things. And so we all got together and we were able to produce some stuff, and that to me is awesome. That is a great group because you got people of all different personalities, so it's kind of, it's kind of neat to see that and work with all those type of people because they love to teach Reiki. That's one thing we all have in common.
Right.
And that's special to me because all the different things, there's so many techniques. There's so many things that we do, and Reiki chimes in with us, says, oh yeah, you could do that. And it works, so it's just wonderful. It's wonderful. And that's why I went to the LMRTs for community. Reiki community, for Reiki teachers. And for me, that was huge,
Beautiful. So been teaching since 2014, part of this amazing, program of licensed teachers here. What is a common misconception that you find about Reiki?
Well, this is what I get all the time. You give me a Reiki session or I give you a little blessing and it's going to heal it. And you know what? We get that sometimes. And and I get it. I completely get it. But what I tell my students, application, application, application. Give Reiki, give Reiki, give Reiki, give Reiki to yourself. It's many layers to healing sometimes. You got to give yourself grace. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one things that people want things a little bit faster than its reality will give it. And that's
always that fast, bippity boppity boo, right?
Boom,
and
boom.
It's
and sometimes it works that way. And so you have the confidence saying it's going to happen, but not all the time. But if you continuously give Reiki, apply Reiki to whatever it is, it does start to work and soften and start to open things up.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, what has been the biggest challenge or struggle you have faced in your healing journey? You shared a little bit of it, but is
Mm-hmm.
there one particular thing that stands out for you?
My healing journey. I would say it is my anxiety.
Mm.
I tell people it's like I started getting my anxiety. I was married prior to my husband, another man, and I was 19 years old, and I was abused, heavily abused for a pretty long time. And when I left that, society, like psychologists and things like that, really didn't help me. Medicine really didn't help me. It got me very heavy and just different things. And it just really wasn't working on my energetic level that I needed, And so Reiki started helping me with that, but it took time. It
Yeah.
took a lot of time. And it's still, I'm here. I'll get anxious, but now it's more, will something trigger me? Will something make me get anxious? I don't want that. I want to control that part, right? And so anybody that has anxiety deeply, if they start healing, they don't want that to happen,
Yeah.
because there's good anxiety too, to lift our senses up so we're aware of things and we're able to keep focus and do what we need to do and like talk on a podcast, kind of deal, right?
Right, right.
But it takes, so it's kind of like, and also Reiki helps you with techniques. It doesn't just start clearing things up. It starts changing your life. So
Mhm.
you're able to harmonize and do what you need to do to fulfill whatever you need.
Right,
And
right.
so that those lessons through those times, and I know I'm healing. People are like, well, how do you know you're healing if you still get anxious a little bit? Well, I'm not as anxious as I used to be.
Mhm.
I can talk. Mhm.
Yeah.
And you notice that like certain things, like I'll think about like my first husband, his name. And before I would get a whole body would sink into a little core,
Mhm.
really scared. Now it doesn't bother me. That's
Right.
when I knew I was healing.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah.
happened about 2 years ago. And that was, that's almost, 8 years of Reiki every
Mhm.
day.
Yeah.
And I won't give up because you know what? It's softening.
It's softening. Yeah. It takes a while. Just like someone who, they get a notification their blood sugar is dropping, right? They go and get a Snickers bar. When you're triggered, and so to speak, you can have those tools. Like my sister had passed and I saw something in the store that reminded me of her. And then, okay, wait, here's it starting. I thought like, I healed from this, but I had the tools. Okay, I'm going to just go out to the car, take a moment, breathe, do the Reiki. So and the important thing is too, is that you're improving on yourself. Each day you get a little bit better just for today, and even that's a teacher like, okay, I still have some work to do, right? But I wasn't as reactionary as I was, say, 5 years ago when it first happened. So
Yeah.
yeah, work in
And
progress.
and Reiki doesn't just start healing, it gives you these techniques. That's the
Mhm.
awesomest part thing.
Yeah.
It gives you things that you need to do. Maybe I need to go to do yoga, or maybe I need to do this or that, or maybe I need to take a quantum physics class. Who
Yeah.
knows? But
Yeah.
Reiki will guide you into those things that you feel the flow and be like, okay, I'll try this. And then all of a sudden it changes you.
Right.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful. So when it's time for you to get an energetic tune-up, what are some qualities that you look for in a Reiki practitioner?
Mm. I would say that they are, I would say I like the intuitive part, the emotional tuition, So they are connected to themselves. They feel comfortable with themselves, that they're able to allow the information to come through them. They don't have to tell, and they actually don't even have to tell me anything. I don't want a psychic review, but I want them to be guided through what part. If I have a headache, if they have to touch my knee, they feel good about touching my knee,
Yeah.
that they're not going to be like, oh, but it's her head, I want them to be driven by that intuition, that emotional intelligence, through their heart center to guide them through that. And if that, they could be level 1, they could be level 20, whatever it is, it doesn't bother me,
Right.
as long as they're open for that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give someone who's just starting out in Reiki?
Give yourself Reiki every day. Any student will hear me say this over and over and over a 9-hour class every day, 2 days, how many days we have it's training, but give yourself Reiki. I don't care if you're watching TV and Reiki doesn't judge you. You'll make judgments. I've never had Reiki judge me. And if Reiki does make a judge, it just turns off. There's no emotional thing to it, So it doesn't matter where you do Reiki, how you do Reiki, give it to yourself every day. If it's a quiet place, it's a little bit nicer as a practitioner to think about your practitioner work, but when you give yourself Reiki, you are communicating with Reiki and you're developing a relationship of that energy vibration with yourself. And through that, you could do anything. I mean, seriously, yeah. And honestly, it took me a year and a half. My teacher would tell me all the time, do Reiki on yourself. And I never do it. And I go to her and she says, you're not doing Reiki to yourself. You can still come to me, but you're not doing Reiki to yourself. I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I moved to Wisconsin, had no Reiki friends, around me at the time. And I have a digestive disorder and diverticulitis. And I had a flare up and I was in the hospital and I came home and I was in pain and I didn't know what else to do. So I started giving Reiki to myself. I wasn't feeling it very well because I wasn't practicing it that way. And I was in pain and that kind of shuts it off, the flow a little bit, but I kept at it. And after that day, a year and a half later, I could honestly say I could give myself Reiki better than anybody else ever touched me.
Beautiful.
Because of my relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you invite the Reiki in, is there a particular system you use? Because you had the Tibetan, you and I are very similar as we have a lot of different that we have studied. So is there a particular one that you go to, or you just open it up to everything and all?
So I got to tell you, so as a practitioner, not a teacher, because if I have to teach the whatever modality it is, I go what they say, right? All honestly, I put my hands to my heart and I just do a jolly good time in Kathy. I bring in joy. I bring in love. I bring in compassion. I bring in Reiki, of course, and all my guides. But in all honesty, I'm like this and I'm set and I'll start doing my stuff. You know what I mean? Kind of like the 3 pillars, but I kind of like check in and just do what Kathy needs, Now, if I need to amplify it, yes, I will go to my bookwork and do what I call the 3 pillars, the Gaso, Rajiho and Chiryo, do those sets because what do they do? They bring focus, they bring your intention out, and then you do the treatment, right? So it's kind of like the same metrics that a human being needs.
Yes.
But yeah, I'll do whatever. I'll put Reiki through my eyes, my breath, my whole body.
Right.
Every chakra is, we have them all through our pores. So, we can just pump out the Reiki. So there's not anything technically that I do like on a regular basis.
Very good. So what books do you recommend?
I don't read any books, do I? No. So you're not going to get any books from me. But I will tell you
audiobooks.
There's audiobooks, but I'm ADD, so I don't like audiobooks. So I am seriously, I'm an osmosis lady. But I will tell people, here's this lady that doesn't read that many books, right? I love Arjava Petter. I love his books with Reiki. He has really good books with Reiki. He does them with William Rand too. But I got to tell you, with the work of Reiki, I produced a book. I am an author, if you can believe that.
I can.
And I couldn't at the time. I'm thinking, I'm not doing this. This is like horrible. Why would I do this? And it's all about your heart intelligence. And I've worked with that since a little girl, like I told you, so I'm very good at it, but I didn't know how to speak it, how to write, especially write about it, let alone, So I wrote the book in 3.5 hours.
Wow.
I prayed, I connected with myself, and I did it through audio. And then it took me about 3 months to, fix the book and stuff like that.
Of course.
But I did this book and I never had anybody look over it. Had Grammarly. that thank God for Grammarly,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And people love it and they understand it. It's a workbook and it kicked off my workshop, but anybody can do this, give
Mhm.
them empowerment, whatever it is, if it's Reiki or something else,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, feel that empowerment and be able to be your own author, be
Right.
able to speak your own story, however you want to say it, because
Right.
everybody's important and everybody's different,
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I can't tell you too many books, Tracy,
That's
but
okay. That's okay. Well, your manuals, right? You
right,
got
I love the Reiki manuals. Yeah, no, I mean I've read them, but it's sitting
their
and
healing touch. Very good. So, your healing center. What other services, modalities do you offer? Classes, events, trainings, retreats? Oh my.
oh my, right? So, after the years, start getting accumulation of things that you start learning and trusting about yourself. You're able to produce it out there to the public and offer it and see if they want it, and Reiki's helped me. So it eased me, it relaxed me. So I was able to start developing different classes. So one is psychic. I'm a very much of a psychic. It was natural and I was able to work on that foundation and become more in the trusting relationship with that, my psychic center. And so I started being able to teach psychic work about like 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I started teaching the psychic work and start developing programs and things like that just to get people comfortable and trust their intuition, right? That's the beginning session, and working on that. I did a heart intelligence, though now I'm breakthrough through that.
Mhm.
And it's about your emotional intelligence and how your heart center supports so many different avenues that people don't really work with, So it's a little bit of that. So it's explaining and bringing that out. Reiki. Oh, I love teaching Reiki. I do it all the time. I love it. I'm a holy, I usually teach holy fire. That's my discipline that I do teach
Yeah.
throughout the other modalities I just use as a practitioner.
Mhm.
I also teach a modality called All Love. It's Sikkim, and it's All
Yeah.
Love, but it's not Sikkim Reiki. So
Okay.
it started out that way with Patrick. He's the founder of it
Mhm.
and how it got connected. But you know how Holy Fire evolved,
Mhm.
around
Yes.
around that time, All Love evolved. So there's no
Okay.
symbols. It's not Reiki. It's seventh dimensional energy and higher. And
Mhm.
how it comes through is very different from Reiki class. So I usually have to warn people that I'm not going to talk as much. I'm going
Sure.
to touch 3 parts of your body
Yeah.
and you might release a little bit or a
Right.
lot. And that's how that modality is. So that's a little different. I always call it like, it's a lot more than just emotional releasing, but
Mhm.
your body will go into kriyas and start Shakti energy, and you start
Sure.
shivering and things like that, and goes through. Patrick's actually coming next month to the second time he's coming. Yeah, he's coming down
Beautiful.
to my center. So, I let other teachers come through too, what I
Mhm.
mean, through that. And that's how I learned my holographic sound. So
Okay.
a man from Texas came through, kind of like Ton Canyon's stuff,
Mhm.
holographic stuff. So it's bringing holograms with sound healing. All right.
Beautiful.
So I'm able to, but I use that as a practitioner. So not everything I do, I teach. You know what I
Right.
mean? There's
Of
just so much
course.
to do, right?
Oh, yeah.
But you want to offer that light and that space,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? For people
Right.
to get their own harmony. So they
Of
start
course,
healing
of course. And
themselves.
every system you study is, now a part of you that
Yes.
has made you you, right? And you're teaching. So
Yes.
as you're teaching,
It
depending on
interlocks.
it may come up. So yeah, yes, I completely different. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
studied different systems as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And it makes you, and it helps you be the light worker you are.
Beautiful.
I
Beautiful.
call it the healing warrior because you're healing yourself and then you brighten up, a little bit more for your own healing journey.
Beautiful.
But through my process and with my anxiety, this is another great little story about the licensed teachers program. So the licensed teacher program, when you're a student teacher or a licensed teacher, William offers usually once a year to go to Hawaii, to his house in Hawaii, and we all get to jam and get to know each other a little bit more in a different area. And so through that, the first time I went, the first year, I helped. My background in college is dietetics. So I know how to feed people, and different people with different little issues and all that special little stuff. And I love food. I'm a foodie. And so everybody had like a job. And so mine was doing the dinners, putting out the menu, and people would cook, and I put out the menu. And so that was the first year, and I felt a little bit more like, okay, I could do this. I'll go another year. So I went another year, and they asked me to help do the retreat. You know what I mean? To put it out there and stuff. And so I did. And I've been asked 8 years prior, first when I first learned Reiki, to do retreats. And I found a retreat center. That's the hardest part, is to find a retreat center that you want, like a stayover retreat center,
Yes.
rooms and stuff like that. I don't have that function. And I found it right away. Like after I was told, guided, I was 8 years ago, and let it still.
Yeah.
So I go and ignored it. And finally I got the confidence.
Yeah.
Reiki helped me do that. The licensed teacher program, they didn't realize they were helping me do it. They helped give me the confidence to do it. I was like, if I could have everybody happy with their food, and everybody has all these different kind of little specialities, I could do this. Yeah. And so I still was a little nervous, and I asked another licensed teacher again, you got this group, and it's like, hey, Karen Cag. So she's a friend of mine. Yeah, I know you had a thing. And I asked her, I said, hey, will you help me do a retreat? I'll go call this place that I told 8 years ago. Sure, we'll do that. She's such an extrovert. I was like, okay. Yeah. And so call up the place. I didn't realize they don't let anybody in. It's a big party place. They have other places, but this place is so nice. Everybody has their own bedroom, own bathroom in their bedroom. It's very, very nice. I was like, oh, okay. So I get there. In 3 months, I had 15 participants.
Beautiful.
Okay, that flowed pretty good. Yeah. And so when I say like extended retreats on my website, is those places that you have your own bedroom, your own things, your shower and stuff like that. And so I started doing wellness retreats. So Reiki actually told me, not make it just Reiki, make it for everybody. So if you have your husband, and your husband wants to come, he could go walk while we do all love, he could go do this or do that, you know what I mean? And we have that, because like 3 steps from this place is a forest. It is absolutely beautiful. So it's kind of like came to my flow, Now it's been asking me to venture out of the country. I am not ready for that. So there might be Puerto Rico. So I was like, they were like, I get guided to Puerto Rico. I'm like, oh, I don't need this or that. Okay, I could do that with everybody, and so it's slowly, my own self is slowly getting myself to do these things and produce these things, and offer them. And it makes us feel so good when we are able to offer what we really need to offer.
Beautiful.
Right? I always feel so satisfied, like, wow, look at the light in their eyes. They glimmered.
They do.
They're happy. They have joy in their heart, and that's what I'm here for.
Beautiful. Yeah. So where can we find you?
You can find me in WisconsinReiki.com. So Wisconsin, like the state, Reiki, REIKI.com. And that's the easiest way. My retreats are there. My classes, I teach online and in person, all my classes that I offer. If you're interested in a class and you're like, that's what happened with my psychic class. Like I do it a couple times a year. And if my students ask, then I'll put it back out there. You know what I mean? And then it gets filled up, and it's all fun. It's whatever you need and whatever you're called for.
Right. Yeah. And we can also find you on Reiki.org, right? And on social media, because that's how I found you on Facebook.
Yeah. So I'm on Facebook. I have, there's a Reiki group. It also is for any lineage or any modality. It's not just for Reiki, but it's called Reiki Studio. And so Reiki Studio is just a place for people to be and to ask questions, explore, all these different things kind of deal. So that's been an empowering thing. And also on Facebook, there's a group called Wisconsin Wellness Retreats. And if you want to see updates on those retreats and little things that I'm buying, like this retreat coming up in June 26th to the 29th, and it's 4 days, 3 nights, and we're doing a theme. So we have a ball. We have people that, over the years, I've been doing this for 5 years. So there's a lady that has a whole DJ setup. She comes every year. We got the DJ, we got this, we got a choreographer that's going to do a line dance with us. And we're celebrating this time. Usually it's the whimsy ball. Everybody dresses up however kind of metaphysically they want. This year's going to be your witch. So whatever kind of witch you want to be. And so I got wands, and we're going to make wands and broomsticks for craft projects. And we're going to do Sikkim Reiki Sikkim and all up every morning. So different things, you know what I mean? Like to inspire you, to bring, give you that little bit of love.
All right. Well, very good. Well, that ends the first part of our journey together. I'm going to continue on to those 3 questions. So here we go. And you answered some of them, but we'll circle back around.
Sure.
So number 1, what inspired you to open the Wisconsin Wellness Center?
Reiki. Reiki told me. It said, here's your visions. You're going to do this. And when I said no, it still let me do it.
Right. Yeah. That's what I love. Like, you had free will to continue to say no, but could.
But the flow would be so much better if you go to Wisconsin. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, right?
Beautiful. Number 2, you just explained a little bit, but we can review it again. Sure. So on your website, you offer the extended stay retreats. Sure. Tell us a little bit about that one that's just coming up.
Yeah, so it's June 26th through the 29th. All right. So it's Thursday through Sunday. And a lot of times, a lot of people fly down, they fly down into Madison, Wisconsin. They drive up there and stuff. So they stay overnight. We always stay a night on somewhere else, right beside there if they wanted to do that. But what's going on is, so we have 1-bedroom rooms, we have 2-bedroom rooms, and we have 3-bedroom rooms. And so you could go on the website, wisconsinreiki.com, go onto the retreat section to the June one, and you'll see it. We always give you a schedule of what's going on. You could join them or not, kind of deal. So with these retreats, the meals are given to you. We have a meal, we have a chef, they come and give us beautiful, delicious meals. And so all the entertainment and the events we have a curtain group that comes in and sings and shows us, explains what curtain music is, and we go with that. We do a lot of different kind of little events and exercises to get to know each other. Little because you get all these people, and typically it's usually the top amounts between 15 to 25 individuals, so it's not horribly large, but you still want to get to know somebody, you know what I mean? Some people and stuff like that, and trade things and stuff. So we always have little interaction things. We also have a healing share that we do. And so a lot of them are Reiki practitioners, not everybody. Not everybody is. And so they, and then I'll empower them to do what they need to do. They might play a musical instrument, or we're all healers, give some hands-on love, make them feel comfortable kind of deal. So the extended retreats is just more days, from the day retreats that I have. I offer day retreats at my center in Deerfield. So you'll see those. I offer 2 a year of those. And so there's different little things. It's a little cheaper, but you have to have your own accommodations through that. Sure. Yeah.
Wonderful. And lots of resources on your website. So fabulous.
Yeah.
All right. This is our last one. And this goes back to that beautiful website of yours. Your website, Reiki Universe, our university. What is Reiki University?
Gotta love the LMRT. So you make friends with them. And a man named Jay Jackson is a very good friend of mine. And he messages me right when Reiki was saying, when COVID happened, you need to make, classes online. And I'm really good with crystal grids, really, really good with them. And I decided I will do a crystal grid class. And I was like, what am I going to do? And so here we go. My friend the next day, after Reiki kind of pushed me there, he calls me up and goes, listen, I bought a couple sites and I want you to help build them for me. And then you could put classes on those, do it yourself pace kind of classes. I was like, oh, okay. Do I have to read anything? Because I don't want to read anything. You can do whatever you want, Kathy. And that's what I did. So I basically I built the whole site. So I built my website without reading, and I built that. And what it is you'll see different things. So it's do it self-paced kind of classes. So there's crystal grid works, there's crystal things, there's chakra healing kind of stuff. But what you won't see, if you're my student, you will see this. I give them a special code. This is what I really like it for. I give them a code. They get to go in and they get to review all my class that I taught them. So any class that I teach, I give them a code, and now they have a refresher. They have a refresher of my slideshow. They have a refresher of some of my stories, maybe. They have a
Yes.
refresher of my music, just all these different things to help them, to
Yeah.
support them, because that's important to me. So
Mhm.
I love Reiki University as a business sense, but I love it as a teacher, because as a teacher, I could give them that information again.
Mhm.
Because how many times you hear somebody like, I went through a Reiki class and boy, it was so much. It's
I
nice to do
remember.
a refresher class, things like that with the energy, but it's kind of nice to have
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
backup. So
Yeah.
that's what Reiki University is to me,
Right.
and it is Jay Jackson owns it, and he has some stuff on there too, some crystal stuff. Yeah, it's really nice what he does. Yeah.
Well, that was our last question. As we've been talking, is there something you may have forgotten or something you'd like to share with the
Hmm.
listeners? The floor is yours.
Nothing about myself. What I want is that I want people to start bringing more joy into their lives.
Mm,
Just say little things like, I gave myself some iced tea and that makes me joyful. It doesn't have to be horribly strenuous. It's just that I gave myself Reiki, or
mhm.
I like to see the color yellow. So I'm allowing myself right now to see the color yellow.
Yeah.
You know, it's allow yourself that grace and for that flow to come out. And for people to feel anxious about letting people really know who they are and opening up their heart space for that, that's a tricky situation.
Mhm.
So open up for yourself. Go in a room by yourself. So a lot of people say, oh, meditate and do this way, sit still.
Mhm.
When I meditate, I have to dance.
Yeah.
That's how I'm wired. And so when I send out people are like, how do you manifest all this stuff? I'm like, every morning you'll see me dance and I'll manifest my day out.
Yeah.
I give myself Reiki and intuition, like my future self, I'll give Reiki to them,
Mhm.
right? And it helps with the flow. It supports you. So figure out how to support yourself, allow yourself to shine.
Very good. Well, thank you, Kathy, for taking time out of your very busy schedule. And thank you for sharing this gift. You're sprinkling Reiki all through the world here. I love it. All through the States,
You are.
internationally. I love it. I love it.
Thank you very much. You are too. Thank you so much.
You. All right, my wonderful listeners, if you have a question you like featured on the podcast, reach out, www.readysetreiki.com. I'm Tracy Seawright, and this is Ready, Set, Reiki.
Cool.